They follow with the concept of no opposition. If opposition has to come, it has to come from these people only, that they want to throw away the president. The same system has to undergo revolution to throw away the leader. When the leader fails, there is no need for opposition. So there is a single party most of the times who is doing the administration with a continued policy. The policy simply continues and the growth continues. The only problem with this system is, as I said, people lose motivation after some time. Okay, so now this is your communist. To avoid that loss of motivation and to avoid that setback in economic growth, you shift towards socialism, where you say that there will be government controlled organizations, but government will allow for certain privatization. But privatization is, you cannot make profit as you want, you cannot fix prices as you want, there will be a limit to the pricing of it, taxing will be there, heavy taxing will be there. Okay, everything will be regulated. This is how they brought a modification into your communist, and they started with the system of socialism. India, do we have socialism? We have to a certain extent socialism. Okay, so we have it to a certain extent. Right now, communists. Hmm. The heading is difference between communists and socialists. Communists, as suggested by, who was the thinker behind your communism? Communism was a concept given by Karl Marx. As suggested by Karl Marx, is a violent overthrow of capitalism, overthrow of capitalism, it is classless and stateless society. Can you have a society without class? That is not a possibility. So nowhere communist has become a reality. Even if you go to Russia also, they have class system. It is not that they were able to completely eliminate class system, and it is nowhere possible to bring a doctor equivalent to a unskilled labor. Here he is giving you skill development opportunity equally, because schools privatization is not allowed only, it is government schools. So everybody is studying the same, but few people put efforts and become skilled. You cannot now equate a skilled person with a unskilled person, and you cannot tell that I am going to be classless, because wherever you go there are people who don't want to get skilled. They're not willing to get skilled only, though that class will remain lower class. So you cannot achieve that classless type of society. Proper communist, according to Karl Marx, what he has suggested is a utopia. Never it can exist. Okay, it cannot come into reality only. Okay, so full stop, right? It is a utopia. Utopia means it is not existing anywhere. Next, socialism. Is a feature of modern industrial society, is a feature of modern industrial society which came into existence against extreme inequality and exploitation because of capitalist mode of production. Full stop. Next paragraph. It is an economic doctrine where society must be based on social ownership rather than complete private ownership. If capitalism stands for, if capitalism stands for freedom of market, socialism stands for social and economic equality. Okay, so what was the other question? Why did we go for socialism or mixed economy? Huh? One, you wanted to reduce inequality. Okay. Hmm. You wanted to cater to the deprived section also. Okay. So one problem we had was we did not have money for privatization. Where does money for privatization come from? Where does money for capitalism come from? Where does money to invest into capitalism come from? Where? From where? You now, for example, think of Adani. If he has to invest, from where does he bring the money? Bank. Okay, 90% of the times they are just taking loan and there is a huge profit margin from there and then they are repaying back to the bank. Okay, he wants safety of his money. He'll keep his private money for himself and complete investment for the industry comes from the bank. In case if there is a political shift, then he doesn't want to risk his private money. So it will be the bank who will be at loss. So capitalism needs a very strong banking system, which we did not have at the time of independence. So what happened? We had to go for socialism where the country had to invest directly. When we are investing and when we are funding the project, we wanted the complete profit to come to your government only. It would have worked fine if there was no corruption, but it was because of corruption you see especially downfall of your BSNL. BSNL was so big that it was unexpected to fail at any point of time. Just 20 years before, if you go, everything was BSNL. Everything owned by BSNL. You intentionally killed the investment. What investment it was? Public investment, because it was built from our tax money. And now you kill that system and you privatize it and you overcharge us for our connection. Okay, so because of corruption and other things, BSNL failed. How can BSNL not be given 5G when compared to other telecom services? You had to give priority to BSNL and not give it to the highest bidder, because we had invested money into BSNL. It was tax money. So because of this problem alone, India faced all those issues. Otherwise, we would have been a very successful mixed economy, where essential services would be cheap and luxury only would be expensive. That would have been a perfect balance. Okay, so we in democracy, when you see, have failed in that system, and sometimes this and this have given better results, because there is very strict punishment for corruption, and it is not easy to be corrupt in this system. Why? Because your system only stands on violence. That means you can be cruel. How are you cruel? You are not giving fundamental rights. If you don't give fundamental rights, you will not go to court only asking for right to life in case of corruption to prove your innocence. That is why these systems sometimes work better. I'm not telling every time. Sometimes in certain cases works better than democracy. Okay, okay. Now one more question. There are two types of democracy. One is liberal democracy and the other is social democracy. So what type of democracy is India? This is a very important question where you go wrong. We are a social democracy. You are social democracy. How can you tell you are social democracy? If you are social democracy, you cannot do disinvestment. How can you do disinvestment? You cannot do disinvestments. You cannot sell government owned companies. It's not possible to sell them. So we are a liberal democracy. Anywhere, because there is socialism, if the options say that India is a social democracy, please don't take it. Very clearly, we have not mentioned the word socialism in your constitution. We have mentioned that we are a, only if possible we will do welfare. Now, I myself, if I am in recession, do you think I will go and donate everywhere? I'll donate only when the economy is good and I am not in recession and I am in surplus. Month beginning, everybody donates. End of the month, nobody donates. You're begging for loan at the end of the month. That is the reality. So we are a welfare state. Socialism was a term added by Indira Gandhi into your preamble. Why did she add it? Because she started the concept of taking over your profitable private companies. Okay, she started whether banks or your Maruti, for example, became Maruti Udyog because it was a profitable company. So profitable companies, she started nationalizing them. That is why she wanted security in court to defend against her government. She added the word socialism into your preamble. Otherwise, there was no need to add the word socialism into your preamble. Originally, when Nehru wrote it, he never added the word socialism. He never added that word socialism. Okay, it was later on added only in the preamble part. Rest of the constitution says we are welfare state. Okay, so we are a welfare state. Don't get confused with this concept. Don't pick anywhere that we are socialist or we are a social democracy. Okay, okay. Can you give examples of important leaders who are socialists in India? Freedom fighters, because modern history is done. Can you please tell? Netaji falls under which category? He is a socialist, he is a liberal, or he is a conservationist? He is a socialist. Okay, then any other leaders if you can talk about who came, in the time of 1935 and after that leaders? Where does Nehru fall in this? No, I'm asking in these three: liberal, social, or conservative. Nehru is liberal and social, both. He is both. Okay, so he followed socialism principles also, but he did not want India to be a socialist country. We didn't want to brand ourselves as communist. So we opted the word welfare socialism, but socialistic principles are there in the constitution. He believed in socialism. Socialism and your liberal. Nehru is both. Then Ambedkar is what? Social or liberal? Ambedkar is liberal. He cannot be social. He is liberal. He believed in capitalism. He was a strong believer of capitalism. He is liberal. Gandhi. Huh. Gandhi is what? Gandhi is what? Huh. Social, liberal, or conservationist? What is Gandhi? Where will you put? Where will you put him? Where will you put him? He is above socialism or communist because he is the original. Opposite to him is, he doesn't fall in the small category. He falls in the top category. You don't know value of Gandhi doesn't mean that globally he is not recognized. He is a thinker. He came out with his own concept of thinking and regulating things. That is why it is Gandhianism. He is not liberal or social. He has come out with his own solution known as Gandhian principle. He himself is a separate thought. He doesn't fall in any of this. That is why he is Gandhi. And you take him so lightly that you change MG Narega scheme. Huh. And when the scheme is changed, people rejoice also without knowing the value. Can you go and disrespect Karl Marx in Russia? Huh. This is the problem of democracy. Why you don't disrespect them? They're communists. They'll kill you. You're taught to respect him. You continue with that respect. Here, they're diluting Gandhian concept itself. Where everywhere in the world they are sticking behind Gandhi, you are diluting Gandhi. I'm talking about you, meaning your political system that you are choosing in democracy. They are diluting Gandhi. Gandhi comes above everybody. He is just a different thought process. He is not, he just says that he is inspired by Tolstoy, etc., etc. But he is not a follower of anything because he himself is a thought. He has followers, only inspired, but not a follower. When you do satyagraha now in any form, you become follower of Gandhi because he is the first person who started that concept overall. Nobody had started that concept where you overthrow a system in a peaceful manner. He is suggesting you overthrow a system in a violent manner. He is suggesting overthrow the system. He is not telling don't overthrow the system. He is telling overthrow the system. But he wants a permanent overthrow of system and where people get their rights. In this, people don't get their rights. Okay, so that is why he himself is a different thought. Where does your Tilak sit? Tilak, socialist, liberal, or conservationist? Tilak is a conservationist. He's not liberal. Tilak is not liberal. They are conservationist. Dadabhai Navroji was a proper liberal. He was a liberal. Okay. They want to stick to old traditions, customs, and that old class of society, superior class of society to continue. No, no, no. He was liberal. He favored liberalism. He was not a conservationist. He was liberal in economy. He didn't want that top class of society to rule over the lower class of society. He didn't want hegemony to continue. Tilak wanted hegemony to continue. See, when you fight for your own community and when you are, thinking about your own community perspective and you're fighting, you become conservationist. You're not thinking from the national perspective. You are limited to your own regionality, then you automatically become conservationist. When he started, every slogan you can see was in his own regional language, and he never tried to reach to the entire country to come and join. Muslim participation was absolutely not there, and any other kind of lower class groups were not included into it. Whereas when it comes to Gandhi, you can see that he is the first person who united all the classes and who fought against untouchability and said if that mass doesn't participate, then there is no freedom, because majority is the untouchable. Majority was the untouchable. How can you leave majority class? And majority at that time was rural. You have left rural also, you have left untouchables also, and you are doing freedom movement. That is why Congress's nature changes after arrival of Gandhi. Before Gandhi it was completely different, and after Gandhi it becomes completely different, because he united the freedom movement. Otherwise freedom we wouldn't have got it. Only we would still keep on fighting till today. Okay, okay. This is just one line. If you want, make a note, just for you not to make a mistake. That's all. We are a welfare state and we are not a socialist democracy. Right? That we are a liberal democracy. Thinkers, you don't need them for GS. GS, you don't need thinkers. In which system are the people more dependent on the government? Capitalism or your socialism? Socialism. People are more dependent on the government. Everything comes from the government. There is no opportunity of development for you, even if you are capable. That is the drawback of your socialism. Okay, so you can write the drawback of socialism. Citizens depend on the government. Citizens depend on the government for everything, including food, housing, healthcare, and education. Okay, so Indian socialism is also known as your Nehruvian socialism or Fabian socialism. Please give the next heading. Nehruvian socialism or Fabian socialism. See, what is your socialism? Socialism comes, from Karl Marx only. So if you want to establish socialism in your country, what are you supposed to do? You are supposed to fight the capitalist class. So fight the capitalist class, you have to fight the existing system of administration, because these two are interrelated. He is protecting him, he is funding him. That is why the system is existing. So what do? You do a violent overthrow. After that, you want to go into communist mode, but that is not possible. So you go for socialism, where you allow some privatization also, because 100% by government you cannot run a country. So you need some privatization. So you do some privatization and you go into socialism. Now Fabian socialism or your Nehruvian socialism just removes this from the bracket. Okay, it does not want violent overthrow. So what is your Nehruvian socialism? You want to reduce inequality and you want to control capitalism. It is not that you don't want to control capitalism. You want to control capitalism. You want to arrive at this only. Okay, you want to control capitalism. But how do you do it? You do it in a peaceful manner. And then how in peaceful manner you can bring that changes through legal methods, means you will make to control your capitalism. That prevents your violent overthrow. Why? Because we are followers of Gandhianism. We cannot have violence in the country. So in place of it, what do? You come out with legal aid. So you take the help of laws and you make laws to bring socialism. Okay, write down. It is the type of socialism found in It is the type of socialism found in Indian Constitution, Fabian socialists also want equality but prefer the following two methods. TW. First one, they do not support violent methods. Second, socialists adopt legislative means to achieve socialism. Please write this. Yes. This is the difference between the two socialists. Finished? No, just wait for a minute. So you had a problem with policing system in your full capitalism. So now in this capitalism, what happens? There is policing. It is a police state. In this police state, what happens? They rely only on protection of property. Okay. They do not interfere into your business. It is a free market, or what we call laissez-faire, where government will not interfere into the market only. It will not put its head into the market. Only thing is they will protect the property. That's all. They'll not interfere into the market forces. Now you wanted to bring mixed economy into India. You didn't want this capitalism. So what is your mixed economy? Mixed economy is a combination of your capitalism and socialism. So you cannot incorporate this system into this here. You cannot bring that system here. You have to allow for interference of government into free market. So in welfare state, what you see, there is policing to protect your capitalism. There is policing to protect it, but policing is limited. How do you limit it? Fundamental rights given to citizens. Okay, so you give fundamental rights to citizens and you limit it. So it is limited and there is interference of government into the market. So when you change this policy, capitalism becomes more humane and you are called as a welfare state. Okay, so give the heading welfare state. See, this welfare state concept comes in your chapter of DPSP. Okay, there again I will not explain this concept because we have already done what is welfare state. There directly we will write that we are a welfare state. Write down. Yes, yes, socialism. We have not come to the next term only, no. Sovereign socialist, then we have to come to secular. Right. Welfare state characteristics. First one, state has policing as an essential function. Essential function. Second, there is no laissez-faire. If you don't know what is laissez-faire, you can write no interference into economy by the state. It is a free market. Only if you don't know, you write it. No interference of state in economy. It is a free market. Next, third point. In order to protect capitalism from, in order to protect capitalism from socialist challenge, capitalism is made humane. Capitalism is made humane. You can write this diagram. Welfare state has mixed economy. Mixed economy is capitalism plus socialism. You can write this diagram. Welfare state always has mixed economy. Capitalism plus socialism. What happened to this girl? Next heading, secularism. See, in secularism, there are different types of secularism possible. You will follow your religion. Tomorrow, if I am forced to convert to some other religion, no, by the state or by the monarch or something like that, I will convert. It is not that I will not convert under pressure. I will convert. but my original religious practice what is there, I will not leave it. That original practice what is there, that I will not leave it. India is a classic example of it. You can see that in a church, in a proper locality in India, you will see Mother Mary is dressed in a sari. Where did she wear a sari? And you always, when you go to such churches, you will see that they would have kept fruits, etc., in front of God. That is not a culture of proper Christianity. That is not their religious practice. Okay. But because you have adopted to a new system of practice, you cannot let go the traditional practice what you were doing. So you incorporate both and you continue with the system. That is why we want freedom of religion. Now, if you strictly try to bind me into one religious practice, that is where I will find it very difficult. Now, you allow for freedom of thought. Lord Ganesha, you will see during your Ganesha festivals, he is wearing jeans, he is wearing something, he is sitting on a bike, on some posts and all. He is sitting on a bomb, which you are going to leave to Pakistan or China or whoever you think is your enemy at that point of time. So you can see that is freedom of thought, where you have allowed your God to take a different form according to the situation. According to the situation. Okay, so you will see in this following coming, maybe Ganesha will open Strait of Hormuz. You will see such posts on social media. Operation Sindoor. So you will put posters of God into it. That can be possible only when your country gives you that freedom, freedom to religion. Otherwise, you cannot put forth that thought and you have to be a conservationist. And you will have to make that social media post about your God very, 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 very traditional without violating anything. That is why freedom of thought becomes very important, which allows you to practice your religious practices according to your thought process. So the most important thing in freedom of religion is following your own religious practices. There are few countries which allow you to follow your religion and do your religious practice. Okay. When you are doing your religious practice, it can be allowed in public to be done in traditional way, like how we do it in India. In India, you can do any kind of religious celebration at any point of time on any public space platform. You cannot go forcibly into somebody's private property and you cannot do it, but you can thoroughly do it in a public space. You can do it in a park, you can do it on road, you can do it and you can involve people interested in it. So public display of these practices and symbols is allowed. But if you go to some secular countries, they say that you have to do it without disturbing the public. You will not disturb the public decorum. Not really. Not possible. Because if one religion dominant majority one will always be allowed to do public display. If they do it, automatically the minority will ask. And you cannot deny minority in India. Automatically you will ask. Okay, so you will not display the public decorum. Public decorum, we are only bothered about stampede, that's all. Stampede and loss of life. Traffic jams, we are not bothered. That you allow. Only loss of life. Some places. Okay, so some countries allow for public display. Some countries allow for public display with no disturbance to your public decorum. Example is USA, you can burst firecrackers, but it has to be pollution free and sound free. Both. Timing is also there. Particular location is there for that. You cannot do it in front of your house. Only if you have permission, you can do it in front of your house, etc. Okay, so you will not disturb the public. Then there are some countries which allow for your religion to be followed and your religious practice also to be followed, but you will practice it only in your and not in the public. When you come to public, I should not be able to recognize your religion by looking at your face, because you are not allowed to wear your religious symbols. So your appearance should not tell which religion you are aligned to. So in public, you will come in a particular standard way prescribed by the state. They can allow for their country's religion. Okay, majority religion originally which was there. Example, France allows for display of Christianity symbols. You can wear a cross, nun can come dressed as a nun, pastor or a father can come dressed as a father. That is allowed, but other religions are not allowed. But that doesn't mean that they are not allowing you to practice your religion. They are allowing it, but do it in your private sphere. You will not do it in public space. So these are the different types of religion and religious practices that are allowed in a secular state. In a non-secular state, what happens? There is only one religion in a non-secular state. Where there is only one religion, it is in your you write your constitution only based on the religious practice. You write it only based on that. Okay, whether you are giving permission for marriage or not will be based on your religion. Ireland, for example, for many years did not allow for abortion, even if it was critical. Many women have died because of no provision of abortion, only because they were based on Christianity, and in Christianity, abortion is a crime. So you make your laws, constitution, administration, everything based on one religion, and you have to follow it. That is a non-secular state. Okay, so it is a non-secular state. It does not have any secular principles in it. It does not have modernization in it. They are not modern. Okay, that is your. What about your communist? They have no concept of religion only. There is no concept of religion itself in your communist. Okay, clear with the idea of secularism. Secularism, you have to give freedom of thought. Without freedom of thought, your secularism will not work. You have to give freedom of thought. Today I believe in one God, tomorrow I will believe in another God. It is according to my mindset. And is religion important? No. Country, why does it allow for religion? No. Your makers of the constitution allowed it in your constitution. They did not want any vote bank. No, it is very important to keep faith in people. If you don't have faith, you will go into depression. That is why you have religion. Religion and customs and traditions are mechanisms of maintaining a good mental health balance in the country. That is why you allow for it, and that is why you have made it a fundamental right. Otherwise, there was no need for it to be made as a fundamental right. Very important for mental health of people. Write down. A secular country is a state that does not acknowledge its affinity, AAFF, INITY, affinity, means liking, sticking to something. It's affinity to any particular religion. And does not recognize official religion. Does India need secularism? We need secularism. So write down next point. It is a political idea necessary to, it is a political idea necessary to govern, govern religious pluralist society. Write down secularism characteristics in democracy. First one, safeguard freedom of religion, safeguard freedom of religion, belief, please write faster, safeguard freedom of religion, belief, and government does not ensure favorism to any religion. Second point, freedom of thought and conscience, freedom of thought and conscience, CONSCIENCE. Third, all citizens are equal before law, all citizens are equal before law, irrespective of religion. All citizens are equal before law, irrespective of religion. Next, freedom of speech and expression. Next, public services are to be accessed by everybody in majority. See, the idea in secular country of opening a hospital is so that you use that hospital and don't stick to your religious principles. You cannot tell that I have a disease, I will sit in temple doing some prayer which my priest has told and my disease will go. You don't want that kind of blind belief. Hence, in public sphere, they give you free schools, hospitals, etc., so that you utilize them and you modernize yourself and you don't stick to religious principles and you incur losses. You have to modernize. Okay? Okay. So, next paragraph, please write down. In Indian context, in Indian context, the state is neither religious nor anti-religious. Indian secularism is, full stop, continue. Indian secularism is distinct from Western culture, or you can write distinct from Western secularism. comma, where India promotes every religion, whereas the West does not promote any religion, whereas West does not promote any religion, or shows affiliation to, shows affiliation to a particular religion. Next paragraph. Western countries take decision only for their objective value, for their objective value. But in India, decisions cannot ignore religious sentiments, cannot ignore religious sentiments. Next paragraph. If analyzed deeply, if analyzed deeply, approach of Indian secularism is considered better than Western secularism, as it protects the, what is more important when running your country? When will economy be good? Huh? Peace and harmony most important for economic development. That is why India gets more FDI when compared to any other country. China receives highest FDI. Okay, they have their own policy for it, but if you remove communist and if you see democracy, it is India who receives the highest FDI because we have least possibility of internal rebellions and protests. The less your internal protests are, the more your FDI will come into the country. Why? Because the country is more peaceful, means you have more working days. Okay, so write down. As it protects the internal security and harmony among all religions. Write this diagram. Next heading, democracy. So we have already discussed democracy. There are two types of democracy. One is your direct democracy and the other is your indirect democracy. Write down. Democracy provides for an environment that respects human rights and fundamental freedoms. That respects human rights and fundamental freedoms. Full stop. People participate in decision making and make decision makers and make decision makers accountable. Full stop. Freely exercised will of people, exercised will, will, of people is exercised, is exercised. Put a hyphen. Governance by the people, governance by the people. Can you just tell me what are the essential characteristics one democracy should have? Characteristics of a democracy. What all should democracy have for it to work properly? It should have diverse section of people. Okay. What all do you need for democracy to work? Say you will declare yourself as democracy, but that democracy has to work. So what are the steps you will take, or what all is needed in a country to make that democracy work? That any democracy will do. I'm telling after election, what do you need? After election, what do you need? Accountability from the representative. How do you bring it? Auditing, and you have institutions for it. Then what else do you need for democracy to work? How do you bring more accountability? Huh? Huh. Where do you bring these reports to the sight of people or into light? And how should media be? It should be corruption free. Then No, they need not be constructive in criticism. You have to be constructive in criticism while writing answer, not media. They have to be critical only. So media has to be free, unbiased. Huh. Any media house in India is not honest. Many YouTube channels, The Wire, The Print, etc., all these are very honest. Okay, why is it possible? Because there is, you're not restricting media only to television, newspaper, etc. You have allowed media to be in any form in India so that news reaches people. So pluralism in your media is very, very important. You do not stick only to DD national channel and that news. You have pluralism in media. Whenever you have pluralism in media, there is always opportunity for a unbiased media to take birth. Okay, then what else do you need for democracy to work? Okay, there is some corruption, you brought it to light. After that, what? Laws are made in democracy by people. That is not a problem. See, for that, you have to change voting mindset of people. When you vote for a party without corruption, then only they'll make law to fight corruption. You're voting a party with corruption yourself, and then you're expecting law to be made stringent. That is not possible, no. When they made these characteristics for democracy, they didn't know that people only will become corrupt, that they will do election only based on corruption. What you found out there is a scam. After that, what will you do with that scam? You'll go to court. How should the court be? We have done these things. I'm only asking summary of what all we have done. Ah. Independent judiciary must be there. What is the most important thing for democracy to work? There is no rule of law. How will democracy work? Please summarize and tell. No, independent judiciary means they'll do everything. Leave judiciary. That's all. These are the points given by UN for a successful democracy. Then, what else do you need for democracy to work? Who told you that this is standard education? Nah. Then you cannot put education as a criteria. Tribal is more educated than you because he knows the knowledge required for his survival without harming the nature and without disturbing the cycle of nature. You cannot consider him uneducated. Very good. You need fundamental rights. Any country which does not give fundamental rights and has democracy does not work there. Then separation of powers. Then separation of power and checks and balances are same. Then what is more important in democracy? Election. How should election be? Now corruption free is next. What is the advancement of Indian elections when compared to USA? India was the first country actually to give universal adult franchise for women, SC, ST, everybody. Whereas America didn't give voting rights to women for a very long period. They gave it only after 1960s and they call themselves developed. This is very, very important that you give voting rights to everybody. That is universal adult franchise. Then there must be, that is why so much debate on your election commission. When will you have free and fair election? When there is no interference of ruling government in the election process. But if you start appointing your own people into election commission, ruling government only appoints, then the election itself becomes manipulated or corrupt. That is why we rank low in terms of democracy. Okay, write these points given by UN. One more thing is you need multi-party system. Right, essential elements of democracy. Heading, essential elements of democracy. These are given by UN. Whenever there is option for multi-party system, don't think that USA and all have only two-party system and they are very successful democracy. You must have as many parties as possible. Their party name, that's all. One is again not leftist. One is center and the other is rightist. One is conservationist and one is liberal. That is there in any country. That is how they have two-party system. One will be conservationist and one will be liberal. In India also, Congress is liberal and your BJP is conservationist. Any other party that has come out after your BJP is liberal. Only BJP is conservationist. Finished? Make this diagram. Finished? Huh. Now, what is your direct democracy? Means people take active participation in making most of the important decisions, whether it is law, policy, whatever it is. So people take active participation in making these policies or laws. So there are instruments for it. Every time, every decision, you are not going to sit and ask people. Now, for example, you have to release money for one particular policy which is already successful, accepted by people, that government only will do. They'll not sit and ask people. They'll ask people only when things become important. Okay. So one is your referendum. You have heard of this in modern history? Referendum was held in Junagadh. Plebiscite was held in Junagadh. When Junagadh joined India, that was not done. Okay, okay, don't panic. So referendum is when you need an important law to be passed, you ask people directly whether they want that law or not. There is one more thing called as, here only opinion is asked. They are not giving their decision. Their only opinion is asked, whether you want it or not. And based on the opinion of people only, you take the decision. But sometimes there can be delay in taking the decisions if the government feels it is not good. Okay, so they only take the opinion in this case, whereas referendum is decision only made by the people. Directly they make the decision. Here they are taking opinion of people. For example, now we want to construct a flyover by cutting so many trees. Take plebiscite, opinion of the people. If people are saying don't cut trees, then you will halt it for a few days. But when the problem escalates, you will convince people into building the flyover, because building the flyover will cut down pollution. Okay, so that is how you do in plebiscite. Then there is something called as initiative. Initiative means what has happened, you need one law, but your parliament is not making that law. You want one law and you are asking for it. When you are asking for it, what happens? The parliament is not taking steps for it. Parliament is not doing it. When parliament does not do it, people themselves can initiate that law making process. They themselves start that law making process. Fourth method is recall. You have elected a member to your parliament, and that member after elections is not doing work like how he promised. So you will remove him. You will remove him. You will recall him, and you will ask for a fresh election, and you will get a new MP selected. Okay, so please write this within this border. These are the four methods of direct democracy. We'll discuss indirect democracy also, just 1 minute. Indirect democracy, you already know, like how it is in India. Okay, you select your MP, you send your MP, they make the laws, they do the administration. Do you have any of these provisions in India of direct democracy? No, you do not have constitutionally these provisions valid. But does that mean that your country is not giving you options of direct democracy only? It gives. Can you give example where they have given an opportunity of direct democracy? Hmm? You can change your. You can change. Huh. Here people only can. People only can. Ayyo, people only can. Ah, that is why the name, no, direct democracy. People directly do it. In India, have they given any option for that, or have they not given any option for it at all? See, informally, there have been many steps where they have taken to give direct democracy. You can see recently your chief ministers, etc., hold public gatherings and they are taking complaints directly from the people. Minister only comes and minister only takes. That was not there earlier. It was a culture started by Kejriwal. He was a person who started Jan Adalat system, where he said that chief minister will come, meet people directly, take token, come meet and resolve your problems. He did it weekly, he did it fortnightly. So it is not that the minister is so busy that he cannot meet public only. So that culture was started. You see that it has been incorporated in many states now. Okay, so that is a system of direct democracy where people directly come to the minister, talk about the problem live. Everything is recorded. And then you can see he is giving solutions then and there. Okay, that is the system of direct democracy. If you remember your Delhi rape case, which happened sometime in 2012, okay, it happened at that time. That was one of the most brutal cases which happened in an opportunistic manner. Okay, you bother about rape only when it is opportunistic and your middle class women are affected. Okay, whenever there is a rape and the victim knows the accused person, then they don't bother because already the rapist was known to the victim. So when a known person does it, no, it is like a kind of mindset in your society that they neglect it. And they said already victim knew the person. So it is kind of neglect that you have, which is not good. I'm not telling that it is good. But your mindset of society is such that when victim knows the accused person, they, sideline the news, they don't focus on it. But when it is opportunistic and when you're going on road alone and there are attackers, or when you're going alone on road and some unknown people because of the opportunity abduct you, like for example taxi driver abducting you, that threatens the entire working class women who have to go out. You cannot tell a working class woman, you cannot tell me that don't work till 10 o'clock in the night. You cannot tell me that country cannot provide security to a woman and you should not work at 10 o'clock in the night. So when that working class women are threatened because of such opportunistic things, then only it becomes a protest, nationwide protest. Okay, you taking a public bus to go, and then in the bus such incidents happen. How are you going to access transport system and security of it? Now I need security in bus, taxi, auto, etc. That is how I travel. I need security of it after finishing work. That girl had gone for a movie, she went back. That is not the concern here. The concern is what if a working woman was in that bus? The concern is when a doctor is on duty and then there is assault on the doctor, then how will they perform their duties? That is when nationwide protests, etc., will happen. So when you see the case of that Delhi rape case which happened, in that, most brutal attack was done by a juvenile. Between the age category of this, you call them juveniles. That person was just 3 to 6 months away from becoming 18. Only if you are 18, you had punishment for it at that time. If you were not 18, you would only be sent to a remand house and you would be there for 3 months or 6 months. But in that case, most brutal attack was done by this juvenile. Then people came out protesting and they said, see, change the law. And you gave him punishment. You cannot, neglect such heinous crimes. Normal crime, a child will do or a juvenile will do, you can neglect. But this was done in full thought and consciousness, and it is a heinous crime. If you allow him to come out, then it will motivate all other juveniles to do that crime. Already crime syndicate only works like that. They employ children into doing drug distribution, etc., etc., because even if you catch that child, maximum 3 months, 6 months, after that you have to leave the child from the borstal. You cannot keep the child in the borstal for more time. You will release the child. So that is how crime syndicate already is working. Now if you start encouraging such activities also, then they will use juveniles only to do such activities. So people wanted to punish him. Okay, but in India we have a policy where you can punish a person only after the law has been enacted and then the crime is committed. But here what has happened, even if you change the law, the crime has been committed earlier. So you cannot punish that person, the previous crime that has been committed. So from the time of enactment of law, after that if you do the crime only you can punish. But this crime has been done before the commencement of the law. That is what they try to convince people, and they try to tell, see, now even if we change the law, that person will not get any kind of punishment, but we will change the law and we will see to it that in future such incidents will not happen. But justices and judges, they said such heinous crimes happen at a very minimal rate. It's not rampant that every other corner juvenile is doing such attacks. Very low rate of such heinous crime occurs. Now, if we change the law for all juvenile crimes, you are completely spoiling future of one child to become a proper corrected citizen, which also has to be taken into account. So they set up one committee known as your Verma committee. Then that Verma committee sat down, they opened one online platform for people to give direct opinion in this matter. They didn't want, blindly to read law, situation of the country, take data, and they themselves, they didn't want to give suggestions whether law should be changed or not. They asked people to give their opinion. They asked people to give their opinion on this. And people gave opinion that you have to change juvenile law. After that, they gave suggestions to change your juvenile law. Juvenile law was changed. Okay, so there have been incidents of direct democracy in India. It is not that, completely there is no direct democracy. At the time when we wrote the constitution, we did not have money, provision, education, awareness in people to incorporate direct democracy, because one territory was big. Digitization was not there. Now you have digitization. Now you have your technology, and upon that people are aware, educated. So now you can incorporate direct democracy. So now there are informal steps taken to incorporate your direct democracy. We cannot completely change to direct democracy because that is still today not possible because of the size and population of the country. Okay. So please write 2 columns, one for direct democracy and another is indirect democracy. Write only under direct democracy. Write only under direct democracy. We'll do another 15 minutes and then take a break at some. Okay. We'll do the class till 4 o'clock. I'm going half an hour late. You all have to go somewhere at 4 o'clock. It's okay. People at home will wait for you only. They have no other opportunity. No, no, only 4 points. That's all. 4 instruments of direct democracy are there. Write everything only under direct and not written anything under indirect. Only getting the student. Why did Indira Gandhi add the word secularism into the preamble? Why did Indira Gandhi add secularism into your preamble? Socialism she added because she wanted to nationalize. Secularism, why did she want to add? Already everything was there in the fundamental rights. Second religion, etc. Secularism already is there in fundamental rights. But in spite of that, why write it explicitly in your preamble? What was the problem of Congress in freedom movement? What was the problem of Congress in freedom movement? That is a problem. What was the issue with Congress, which they didn't correct for a very long time? Though they knew that it should be corrected, they didn't correct. Hmm. What were the ideologies of other parties? So the other type of democracy is indirect or representative democracy, where people in election transfer their power to their representatives. Representatives at center is MP, representative at state is your MLA. What was the problem of Congress in freedom movement? Modern was over long, long ago. What were you people doing? For you, both modern is not over. For you, it is not over. For you, it is over. No, I didn't understand that nodding. Either do this or this. What is that round thing you are doing? How will I, decipher that round? Yes, okay. What was, one of the major issues with your Congress and freedom movement? Huh. Hmm. Affluent section only was there, you can tell that, until Gandhi came. Okay, so that was one issue with them. Then finish writing, everybody. Keep thinking about this. Now come to the issues or threats of democracy. Finished? Give the heading threats to democracy. What are the threats to democracy? How? How are you doing it? That is happening, but how? How are they misusing the power to make laws? Corruption itself is a big problem by itself. They prevent dissent is a person who tries to do things differently or who does not agree with the mass decision. They single out their decision and they tell, whatever you are agreeing, I'm not going to agree. Kejriwal was that person, so you blame him for corruption, you put him into jail also. Why? Because he tried to bring reforms in the political system. That was a threat to all parties. Happiest person was Congress, because he is a liberal party who is trying to be a competition for Congress. Kejriwal is a prime minister candidate. So when his dissent was threatened, the person happy was Congress. It kept quiet. It was like, do whatever you want to do. They only gave a statement telling that just the judiciary has to look into the matter unbiased and it should be transparent. Other than that, they didn't do anything for it or for him. Okay, so political dissent, you try to suppress political dissent. When somebody tries to bring a change, you misuse those laws to prevent that change. That is one of the biggest threats we have in democracy. Okay, where your corruption is becoming a problem for us for democracy. Defection. See, if you do defection from one party to another party, we are not opposing that idea, but it should be for the good of the people. It should not be for your personal gains. Then, where else are you doing corruption? You are doing corruption in election only. You give money to people to vote for you. That is the biggest problem. That is the biggest problem. You cannot put that claim directly because that has not been proved. You cannot write things that are accusations and have not been proved. Hmm. Then what else is the threat to this democracy? Why that corruption is being promoted by the people? Why do you feel work will get done when you vote for one candidate? No. Why do you feel that work gets done? No. That person belongs either to your caste or to your religion. Either your caste, religion, region. If BJP tomorrow says no that it will do HD Kumaraswamy, the chief minister, sorry, the prime minister of India, entire Karnataka will vote for it. They will vote for BJP without thinking any other criteria, because you want your region's person to be promoted so that your state will get developed. Okay, so parochial loyalty comes from caste, religion, your region, etc. Language also is there. That is why when this person pays you money, no, you vote for him. That is how there is the problem of what? Criminal elements are able to enter politics. And who is the biggest supporter of this? You cannot always tell illiteracy is the problem. Literate, unaware people are the biggest problem. Who is, the problem in election? Election, you can see only nowadays the turnout is around 70% plus. You don't have 100% turnout in elections. At least we can reach a mark of 90 to 95% turnout. Okay, so if you have a festival, all of you run to home. If you are living in hostels, etc. Hook or crook, you want to reach your home, you take bus, you take flight, you take 3 4 stops to reach your hometown, and there is nothing to be done on that festival. But whenever there is election, it is treated as a public holiday, and it is the urban population that runs away. Rural population vote because they don't have anywhere to go. They'll be in their region, plus there is parochial loyalty. That is why they want their candidate to win. They will stay back and they will do it. Urban population, what is the problem? You are the middle class who don't get any scheme. So you are not interested in voting. So urban, you have to increase the participation of people in election. They'll at least know how to judge a person, urban population, but they leave it to the unaware people, and that urban population who is middle class leaves the election process only completely. That is another big problem. Then what else is the problem in your democracy? How can you eliminate corruption in your election? Why people take money and vote? Hmm? Problem is, and this is the idea of government, keep the people poor, keep them poor. Then if you remove poverty, no, most of the things will get eliminated. Just removing poverty, most of the things will get eliminated. Then any other problem in your elections or your democracy? Huh? Unemployment, poverty, you can put it all together for your corruption. Hmm. Why? Huh. No, multi-party system is good. No, then you will bring out different ideology-based parties. We have multi-party system already, but we don't have that threat. No, we don't have that threat. Huh. Talk about the threats that are there. One big threat. No, female participation is there, Male domination, you can write it to certain extent, but females who have come, they are not so good. What can you expect out of the females that are there in our parliament today? Better allow male only. One or two females are there who have knowledge of what is the system. Others, there was once one press reporter who went around asking full form of MP and MLA to MLAs and MP. They didn't know that full form only. Men also didn't know, women also didn't know. Karnataka, that famous women politician was there who went on stage and asked how many days are there in a year. She got confused between 365 and 356. She is minister. We are on recording. No, I'm not telling the name because you have such female politicians. What is the point? Hmm. Facts, but I don't want to take on the ruling party onto my head because it is very easy to decipher and find out who I am. What is the biggest threat to your democracy? Media, biased media. Media, especially who is circulating fake news also. Social media with fake news. That is why they say WhatsApp University. WhatsApp University educated, etc., where the information is not properly delivered to the masses. Okay, so AI, rather than AI, you can tell who was very influential in making 2014 elections a victory for Modi. So we'll take a break, then we'll continue. It's already 1:30. Who was influential in you subscribed for free social media and they sold your data, and based on your data they circulated the required information to buy your Hindu votes. That is how your media is misused. It is very easy to influence people today with social media. Whatever you circulate and you tell them with your algorithm, the same feed comes to you, it promotes and it builds in your mind that whatever they are saying is true. Okay, okay. Take the next heading, Republic. Oh, you didn't write the threats, no? Write threats. Hmm. Finished? Write down some steps to overcome the threats. First one, fight criminalization of politics. Fight criminalization of politics with electoral reforms. And disclose all information regarding the candidate. Second, strengthening anti-defection law. Defection law. Next, independent and effective judiciary. Independent and effective judiciary. Next, increase voting turnout of people. Turnout of people. Next, use technology like e-governance, RTI to bring accountability and strengthen democracy. Accountability, democracy. Next, reduce use of laws like UAPA, Unlawful Activities Prevention Act, AFSPA, AFSPA, Armed Forces Special Power Act. Okay, so these are two acts which can, suppress the rights of people, and there is large scale misuse of law. Next heading, UAPA, AFSPA. Next heading, republic. So what is a republic? We did it in the first day class only. What is a republic? What is a republic? What is a republic? Head of the state is elected, and it is not hereditary, then we say we are a republic. What was the idea of India becoming republic at the time of your commencement of constitution only? You wanted republic strengthens your sovereignty. When you are telling that your head of the state is elected, he is an independent candidate elected from among the people, means people's wishes have been put forward. That makes you completely sovereign. Other countries did not become republic, and they continued with your British. Okay, they continued with the British. They accepted British monarchy for a long time, and they continued. Examples are your Australia, New Zealand, Canada, etc., who still have monarchy as their nominal head, but still they are the head. So you cannot be sovereign. But if you become republic, then you are completely sovereign. So to become sovereign, we went in for republic, right? The system where it is a system where people are supreme and the head of the state is elected by people, and they are not under any they are not under any hereditary ruler. Hereditary ruler. Next line you can write, when a country is republic, they are automatically sovereign. Can you please tell the first paragraph of your preamble? Hmm. Hmm. Resolve to India into no. First one, sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic, republic, and to you have to tell it. That is the first line. And to secure to all citizens justice. What types of justice they are talking about? Social, economic, and political. So give the next heading justice. That's all in republic. The point you have to remember is it is very important for sovereignty. If you are republic means automatically you become a sovereign country. So now when we talk about justice, what are the types of justice that have been ensured? It is your social, economic, and political justice. What is social justice? You do welfare of people, then why are you doing welfare of people? Yes, to reduce inequality, increase standard of living. No, these two, if you do, poverty automatically reduces. Then, huh? How? Hmm. Fight against? What is the social evil only I'm asking? That fight only you tell. Okay, you can write some traditions and customs. Then giving basic needs. That is there in standard of living. Especially gender based discrimination. You cannot do gender based discrimination in a society. Okay, so these are some of the methods how you will achieve your social justice. Then next one is your economic justice. Here you are telling things. Tell. Huh? Unemployment. What is there to overcome your unemployment? Right to work. MG Narega scheme was right to work. So they gave you work because you are willing to work. If country doesn't create work, how will you work? Skill development. Okay, then huh? Vocation and skill development. Then then hmm. What else will you do? In economy, internationally, what is the biggest problem we face? This is your sports also. Prize amount for women is less when compared to men. Movies also, heroines always paid less than the hero. So you can see it is a global issue, not a national issue. So equal pay for equal work is another issue you have economically. Okay, so these are some of the problems that we are trying to solve through constitution and laws to give economic justice. Okay, political justice is what? How have we given political justice? Anybody can contest also if you have qualifications. Okay, right to contest. Then political justice you are giving by now disclosing the information of the contestant online. They have to fill all the given criteria, whether they have their assets, whether they have any criminal cases, in how many they have been convicted, how many their cases are going on, and how many they are accused, whether they are the victim. They have to disclose all the information so that we can make a informed decision. Okay, so disclosure of candidates information. Okay, so these are the methods how you are giving your political justice. Okay, we have given right to vote to everybody, that is your universal adult franchise. And then you have right to contest, that is also universal. If you have qualifications you can contest. There is age qualification, you must have voter id. All these things are the necessary qualifications. If you have those necessary qualifications, anybody can contest. Okay, so write down these three. Make this block diagram. Write the full diagram. This is for economic and this is for political. Political, it is right to vote, contest, disclosure of candidates information. Okay, so your break time will start now. Faster you write and you go, you can come back in half an hour.